All right, let's get started. Thank you so much for coming to KPC today. Welcome. And welcome to those watching online. Hello, hello. So, like every week, we always want to take a moment to settle our minds. So, whatever it took for us to get here today, maybe we were rushing to get here, maybe we had a really busy morning. Just leaving that aside and really focusing on our intention for being here, for showing up and doing meditation. And so we always start with our bodhicitta intention, which is the compassionate wish to free all beings from suffering. So when we start with a motivation like that, we expand beyond ourselves. We consider others, we consider other sentient beings in that intention. So although we may benefit from, and we will benefit from doing meditation, we dedicate that effort to the liberation of all beings, and so that they too may find peace and happiness. So we'll take a moment to create that intention in our mind before we begin. All right. So we'll start with the 7-line prayer. Hi, welcome. We'll start with a 7-line prayer on the front of your page. Here, I have an extra one. Do you want this one? Oh, you got it. Okay. On the front of your page. And I'll put it up on the screen. So we'll chant that 3 times in Tibetan. Morning. Okay. Organ yugi nucham sam pemage sardom pola yasan chogi nodrune pema jungne shesudra koryu kandro mampokor keki jesu dag drupki chinjilop shir sheksu sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hum Organ Yogi Nucham Sam Pema Ge Sardom Bola Yasan Chogi Nundrumne Pema Jungne Shesudra Koryu Kandrom Mambokor Keki Jesu Dag Druki Chinjilop Shir Sheksu Sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hum Organ Yogi Nucham Sam Pema Ge Sardom Bola Yasan Chogi Nondrune Pema Jungne Shesudra Koru Kandrom Mambokor Keki Jesu Dag Druki Chinjilop Shir Sheksu Sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. All right. So by now, since all of you have been coming for a while, we know what meditation is. We always review it because it's important to understand what the state of meditation is within our minds. And it's that state when it's relaxed, stable, and open, when our mind is calm and settled. It trains us to be in that way, calm and settled in our mind, and yet also alert and wakeful. So oftentimes we feel, or we can feel like our mind is running wild. And we might not even realize how wild our mind runs until we sit down and try to be quiet and still and just focus on our breath. So we might not realize how much our mind is jumping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Constant distraction, one thought leading into another thought, leading into another thought. So oftentimes the teachers call this our monkey mind. Our monkey mind is causing a lot of chaos. And, there's not many opportunities to just create some spaciousness in our mind, a pause in our mind. And that's the whole point of meditation, is to create more spaciousness, more stability in our mind, so that we can respond to everything that happens in our life in a more relaxed and less reactive way, so that we aren't overtaken by our emotions or external circumstances or internal circumstances, that we have stability and focus and calm, like a calmness in our mind. So if we aren't practicing moments of meditation, it's so easy for our mind just to become more and more inflamed. It's a compounded thing. So we have to give it a break. We think of all the other things we do for ourselves, or maybe for, we help others. Maybe we try to eat healthy or exercise or whatever we do for our body. But what are we doing for our minds? How are we nurturing our minds and letting our minds truly rest? Especially in the craziness of this modern life we live. It's just, if you can't find moments of still, then it just gets more, we're swept up so easily. So the meditation that we're going to start with is Shamatha meditation, or calm abiding meditation. So again, this is very important to create spaciousness in the mind, and it's also very important on the Buddhist path, because it's the first step in developing bodhicitta, which again is that compassionate wish to free all beings from suffering. So if we are too self-consumed, if our mind is too inflamed, how can we possibly think about the benefit of it? So everyone's already sitting in their posture. So we'll have our spine lifted, straight spine, shoulders back, elbows back, and then the posture, which is the right hand over the left and in the lap, like that. And again, we're breathing naturally. So we're not counting our breath. We're just breathing naturally. And then we do have our eyes relaxed and gazing downward to the floor, resting our gaze. And we have the mouth slightly open, so a little bit of air is passing through. And we do this by putting the tip of our tongues on the back of our front teeth, like we're saying the letter L, just lightly resting there. And then just breathing naturally. And all of our focus will be on the breath. So whenever a thought arises, again, we're gently bringing our attention back to the breath, like how we do each week. We focus on the breath again and again and again. We don't, when our mind is distracted, when many thoughts come, we just gently bring it back. We don't have to judge ourselves or punish ourselves, or, say in our minds, oh, I'm so distracted. Just cut it. Just bring it back. And we can actually use that. We can imagine actually cutting the thought or tossing the thought out if it just feels like it's relentless. So we'll notice as you do meditation, your mind can be completely different from day to day and completely different from minute to minute. So again, we're not so caught up in, oh, how did we do today in our meditation? It's more about consistency and showing up. It's a long-term thing. And that's when you start to really see the benefits of meditation, is when you're consistent in the practice. So focusing on the breath, it's a very light attention on the breath, like a gossamer thin attention on the breath, just noticing it. And when the thoughts come, Your meditation isn't lost by having these thoughts, it's by going down the road with them. So just gently bring your mind back. Your attention is like a feather gently riding the surface of your breath. So we'll do a warm-up round, and then we'll do a longer session. Bring my timer. All right. Starting now. Okay, if you need to move your body or stretch or have some water, we'll do a little longer. And if you've been doing meditation for a while now, you might feel comfortable doing longer, longer intervals of time. But it's always recommended to get really stable in your meditation with shorter time to begin before you just, like starting right out at 45 minutes. It won't be that effective. You might find it be very distracted trying to do that for 45 minutes, trying it for the first time. So we're going to do a little bit longer now. So now that our minds are hopefully a little more relaxed, more stable, we'll move on to Tonglen. And again, Tonglen is really a practice to help develop our hearts, develop our compassion. Tonglen, or giving and receiving, is done to develop our compassion, but also our ability to our own suffering and the suffering of others. So this practice really trains us in that energy, loving kindness, and really opens our hearts and helps. With this practice, we're imagining we're taking in all the suffering into ourselves, and then sending out all of our happiness. So, this is a mental. Oh, here's the internet's going in and out. Okay, hello. This is, a mental exercise. So it's not like we can just immediately take someone's or everyone's suffering away from them, but it helps us to gradually cease our own happiness, or cease cherishing our own happiness over others. So it helps us with just loosening the grip on our self-absorption, on just thinking of ourselves, or kind of ego clinging. It helps loosen that grip, and it makes us more aware of the suffering around us, and that all beings want to be happy. So we're strengthening that muscle of compassion. And this also helps us create more equanimity for beings. So sometimes we think certain people deserve our love, and others don't. So this is really to help us see all beings as equal, all beings just wanting to be happy, all beings wishing that all beings are free from suffering. So we'll stay in our meditation posture, and we can imagine one or two people. You can switch from one person then to the next, or this can be, a parent, a friend, a pet, anyone who you easily feel love and affection towards. Anyone that, if that person was suffering or that being was suffering, that would be particularly touching to you, that would move you, that would make you upset, imagining this person suffering. So this is anyone that just love and compassion easily wells up in your heart thinking about them. So we're going to be imagining that we are, taking on all of their suffering, all of their sadness, their misery, anything that they might be going through, taking it, into ourselves, and really really imagining what, if they were going through suffering, what that might feel like, having empathy for them, and let that really give rise to compassion in your heart. So we're developing a fervent wish to relieve them from suffering. And we're doing this with our breath. So on the inhale, we're visualizing we're taking all of their suffering. We're taking that in the form of a dark smoke. And then on the exhale, and they're freed of all their suffering with that. Just immediately take all their suffering in. And then as you're exhaling, you're sending them all your love, your compassion, your joy, all your positive qualities in the form of pure radiant light. And so you might think, as you breathe in, may you be free from suffering. And as you breathe out, may you be happy. So we'll do this for a few minutes. And again, imagining their suffering, really let that conjure up like, I want to take that from you. I don't want you to experience that. So it's like you're relieving them, and then you see them so joyful and happy, just the happiest they could ever be as you're doing this. Okay, so I'll do this for a few minutes. Okay. So you know what's coming next. um, so now we'll imagine, one or two people for whom, this is a much harder exercise to do for them. Maybe this is someone that makes you particularly angry, upset. So just anyone that conjures up intense anger or aversion in your mind. And in a time where we're meant to feel like we're so divided, or there's so much there's so much division right now in our country. but if we are actually able to bring people into our heart and recognize that we are, at our core, we are all trying to be happy, whatever that looks like. And so many of us are so confused about how to create the causes of happiness. And so whether you believe, whether you agree with someone's actions or not, in their own confused way, they're trying their best to be happy. So even for someone who you have disdain or dislike or frustration or upset, or maybe this person hurt you, just recognizing that we're all trying to be happy. And, if we can really imagine, what would that person be like if they had no causes of suffering, if they were completely happy, and if we could do that, or all that confusion, or all that, whatever they're going through, or whatever, these things that they've caused for themselves and others, if we could take that all away and they could be truly happy, wouldn't you want to do that? So this is a way to increase our compassion for all beings, even those we don't feel like deserve our love, deserve our care or attention. And so if we can chip away at the hardness around our heart, we can transform our lives and the lives of those around us, and transform things on a much bigger scale. I mean, imagine if all the kids on this planet started learning meditation and did Tonglen when they got upset with people. Imagine if we all did this together instead of arguing and fighting and going to war. So with that, let's try our best. So we'll do 2 minutes of conjuring up someone who, again, creates upset in our mind, but really just getting into, well, what if this person, what if they are intensely suffering, taking all their suffering in, taking all of it in as that dark smoke, and then giving them all this radiant light, this compassion, this joy, and seeing them fully receive that, and fully happy. So let's do that with 1 or 2 people. Let's try that. So we'll increase this visualization just to include larger groups of people, again, whom you have upset towards, aversion, any sort of anger, frustration. So again, we're trying to expand the scope of of beings that are allowed in this space for our love, for our compassion. So we're slowly trying to extend our love and compassion to all beings without excluding anyone. Okay, so we'll do another minute, just a minute of this. So again, we are deepening our hearts and widening the scope of those that we include in our Tonglen. Sometimes I like to think of it as we're becoming like a big filter for suffering. So we're filtering it through our heart. So we're bringing in all of the suffering of all beings into our heart. Our love, our compassion. Do this anytime. You don't have to sit in a formal meditation for this. You can do this in real time. You can do this for someone who's maybe in front of you. Maybe they're upset. Maybe they're angry. You can actually just imagine this. And it can work. It can really calm. They don't know what you're doing, but it can calm people down because we affect each other tremendously. So you can use this in any situation, or maybe you're in a waiting room in a hospital or emergency room, and there's a bunch of nervous, scared people who have gone through something traumatic. You can do Tonglen for everyone in the room, everyone in the emergency room. Just that they're taking away their fear, taking away their suffering. So we're going to end like we do each week with a light expansion prayer. So again, taking that energy out and offering it that beautiful light out and expanding it. So you can just listen along. All right. And this was a guided meditation written by our teacher, Jetsunma. So listen. Let us become still. Take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Again. Let us center deep within. Center deep within. Deep within to the presence of the Absolute. And there is radiance. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace the physical body. And all of the physical body is filled with the presence of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to fill our beings on all dimensions. And all that we are is filled with the radiance of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to fill everyone here And everyone here on all dimensions is filled with the presence of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace this building. And all of this building is filled with the light of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace this nation. And the government of this nation is filled with the radiance of the Absolute. And the people of this nation are one life. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace planet Earth. All nations and all governments are filled with the presence of the Absolute. And there is peace. And the 8 billion are one life, radiant. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to fill this galaxy. All planets, all stars, and all life forms are within the embrace of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace the universe. All dimensions and all kingdoms are filled with the presence of the Absolute. And in all the universe, there is only one life. Now, as we return our consciousness back to physical form, we continue to embrace all that is and to know union, that we are one. And with that, we will dedicate the virtue, the benefit of doing this meditation together today. We'll dedicate it to the benefit of all sentient beings. And we'll put the dedications up on the screen. Throughout my many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue I have accomplished, including the merit generated by this practice, and all that I will ever attain, this I offer for the welfare of sentient beings. May sickness, war, famine, and suffering be decreased for every being, while their wisdom and compassion increase in this and every future life. May I clearly perceive all experiences to be as insubstantial as the dream fabric of the night, and instantly awaken to perceive the pure wisdom display in the arising of every phenomenon. May I quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas altogether, whatever kind of motivation you have, whatever kind of beneficial action, whatever kind of wishing prayers, whatever kind of omniscience, whatever kind of life accomplishment, whatever kind of benevolent power, and whatever kind of immense wisdom you have, similarly I, who have come in the same way to benefit beings, pray to attain these qualities. By this effort, may all sentient beings be free of suffering. May their minds be filled with the nectar of virtue. In this way, may all causes resulting in suffering be extinguished, and only the light of compassion shine throughout all realms. Thank you all for joining today, and you're welcome. And thank you all for joining online. Let me just tell you what we got going on tomorrow, and then I'll end the stream. Kempo Karze, our resident Kempo, through the blessing of our teacher, Jetsunma Namo, he's been teaching here regularly on Sundays at 11:30. So if you'd like to come tomorrow, that will be going on. He does give a teaching, and then we do a meditation, and then there's a Q&A, and then there's time to do a short mantra accumulation at the end, a Chinrezi mantra accumulation. So a little short group practice. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m., right after the teaching, we also have a drum circle, which we do mantras. We chant mantras as well there, and we have all of our different instruments, percussive instruments, and drums, so anyone can join in. And I think that's it for now. I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you. See you next week.